When John Entwistle, the bass player who stayed with The Who the longest, first picked up music, he actually started on the banjo. He admitted he wasn't very good at it, but that didn't matter, because soon after, rock and roll's angriest guitarist would arrive, and history would never be the same. What happens when Pete Townshend, the explosive genius behind The Who, lost his temper? Today we're looking at Pete Townshend's most notorious feuds with rock legends. Townshend wasn't only known for smashing guitars on stage. He was equally infamous for burning bridges with some of the biggest stars in music.
When John Entwistle, the bass player who stayed with The Who the longest, first picked up music, he actually started on the banjo. He admitted he wasn't very good at it, but that didn't matter, because soon after, rock and roll's angriest guitarist would arrive, and history would never be the same. What happens when Pete Townshend, the explosive genius behind The Who, lost his temper? Today, we're looking at Pete Townshend's most notorious feuds with rock legends. Townshend wasn't only known for smashing guitars on stage. He was equally infamous for burning bridges with some of the biggest stars in music. Behind the groundbreaking riffs, the power chords, and the rock operas, there was a man with a famously short fuse. Insiders have long revealed that Pete Townshend never held back when it came to criticizing fellow musicians. His blunt words destroyed friendships, created lifelong enemies, and turned award shows into battlegrounds. From backstage fights to public insults printed in the world's biggest magazines, his feuds shaped the story of rock and roll itself. These weren't just minor disagreements. Some were personal wars that nearly derailed careers. So today, let's count down the 6 musicians Pete Townshend reportedly despised the most. Number 6. Elton John. At number 6 is a rivalry that stunned the music industry. Townshend's feud with Elton John was all about what he believed real rock should sound like. While The Who were smashing guitars and creating raw, powerful records, Elton was dazzling crowds with piano ballads, flamboyant costumes, and theatrical stage shows. To Townshend, Elton represented everything wrong with 1970s rock. Too polished, too commercial, too mainstream. The trouble began in the early 1970s, when Elton's global stardom took off. Townshend couldn't understand why critics hailed Elton as a rock icon. He reportedly told friends Elton was nothing more than a lounge singer in fancy clothes, pretending to be a rocker. Things turned personal when Elton's album started outselling The Who's. Studio insiders recall Townshend sneering at Elton's songs, calling them soft garbage for housewives, and manipulative tearjerkers with no real substance. At award shows, witnesses claimed Townshend refused to present trophies if Elton was a recipient. He even walked out of venues during Elton's performances, dismissing them as circus acts, not music. Both demanded separate dressing rooms at festivals, and tour managers had to keep them apart. For Townshend, Elton John embodied the rise of spectacle over substance, a sign that commercial entertainment was winning over true artistry.
5. Eric Clapton. Number 5 brings us a battle between two of Britain's most celebrated guitarists, Pete Townshend versus Eric Clapton. This feud reportedly came from pure jealousy and musical rivalry. Critics called Clapton a guitar god, and Townshend simply couldn't stand it. While Pete was pushing boundaries with feedback, smashed guitars, and complex rock operas, Clapton was getting worshipped for playing traditional blues. Townshend thought Clapton's solos were overrated and dull, telling journalists that anyone could play slow blues scales like that. What made it worse was a graffiti plastered across London declaring Clapton is God. Former bandmates recalled how furious Townshend became whenever he saw those words. He believed his own aggressive experimental style was far more innovative than Clapton's polished blues. By the 1970s, both men were legends in their own right, but the rivalry only grew stronger. Townshend refused to acknowledge Clapton's influence even when asked directly. To him, the battle was about ego, about who deserved to be remembered as Britain's greatest guitarist.
4. Roger Daltrey. Number 4 might be the most shocking of all. Pete Townshend's feud with his own bandmate, Roger Daltrey. Insiders said the two could barely stand being in the same room together. Their argument started in the Who's early days, when both men were fighting for control. Townshend felt his songwriting genius was underappreciated, while Daltrey soaked up the attention as the frontman. He believed he was the true creative force of The Who, while Roger was just the face singing his words. Things often turned violent. Crew members recalled fistfights backstage, and one story claims Townshend actually knocked Daltrey unconscious during a heated recording session. Other band members frequently had to separate the two before things escalated further. Even after decades of success, the tension didn't fade. Studio engineers reported that Townshend constantly criticized Roger's vocals, claiming he never understood the deeper meaning behind the songs. Industry veterans have called it the worst-kept secret in rock history, that one of the greatest bands of all time was held together by men who could barely tolerate each other. 3. Kenny Jones. At number 3 comes one of the cruelest feuds in rock history, Pete Townshend's treatment of drummer Kenny Jones after Keith Moon's death. Jones joined The Who in 1978 after Moon's passing. But from the very beginning, he was made to feel like an outsider. Townshend resented having to carry on without Moon and saw Kenny as a constant reminder of what was lost. He openly mocked Jones during recording sessions, calling him a robot who played with no passion. Townshend believed nobody could replace Moon's chaotic, unpredictable drumming, especially not someone as precise and technical as Jones. Backstage, Townshend reportedly ignored Kenny completely, refusing even to make eye contact. Tour managers said Jones was miserable his entire time with the band because of Pete's constant hostility. Many believe Townshend unfairly blamed him for The Who's decline in the 1980s.
2. Paul McCartney. At number 2 is a rivalry with one of the biggest names in music, Paul McCartney. Townshend supposedly saw the Beatles as manufactured pop stars, while The Who were making what he considered serious art. He thought the Beatles were just writing simple love songs for screaming teenagers, while he was composing rock operas with real depth. During the height of Beatlemania, Townshend often felt overshadowed. He told friends the Beatles had gotten lucky with catchy melodies, but lacked true artistry. The worst part? Critics constantly called McCartney the greatest songwriter of his generation. That drove Pete into fits of rage. He dismissed Paul's work as nursery rhymes for adults, compared to his own serious compositions. Even after the Beatles split in 1970, Townshend's resentment didn't fade. He refused to credit them with influencing rock, even decades later. Insiders say the jealousy ate at him his entire career.
Number 1. Mick Jagger. Taking the top spot is Pete Townshend's most explosive rivalry, his war with Mick Jagger. This feud reportedly lasted more than 5 decades. Townshend despised Jagger from the moment they met in the early 1960s London club scene. He saw Mick as a fraud, a rich kid pretending to be a blues singer, building a career on stolen stage.
Number 1. Mick Jagger. Taking the top spot is Pete Townshend's most explosive rivalry, his war with Mick Jagger. This feud reportedly lasted more than 5 decades. Townshend despised Jagger from the moment they met in the early 1960s London club scene. He saw Mick as a fraud, a rich kid pretending to be a blues singer, building a career on stolen stage moves and empty charisma. Townshend believed true artists suffered for their music, while Jagger just played dress-up and cashed in. By the late 60s, things had reached a boiling point. Roadies claimed Townshend once physically threatened Jagger at a major festival, accusing him of stealing ideas. Security had to step in to prevent a fight. Through the decades, Townshend continued trashing Jagger in private conversations and refused to appear at events where he was being honored. Tour managers often had to carefully schedule appearances just to keep the two apart.
What makes this feud unforgettable is that Pete never forgave him. Even in recent years, sources say Townshend still harbors resentment toward Mick Jagger's legacy and success.
Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon.